Thank you very much for staying with us. It's now time for us to dive into our guest discussion. And we still have our guest in the studio who will be taking us through this topic we're about to unfold. He's actually the same person, Mr. Matthew Oluku, a public affairs analyst. Welcome to the show once again, Mr. Oluku Matthew, or Matthew Oluku as the case is.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, so let's just go straight into business now. We've been talking about the just concluded elections, and now the winner has actually been declared. But now the question is, what is the way forward? Let's start from there.
One, the way forward is to challenge the process. But why you do that, you do it within the ambits of the law, so that the polity is not overheated, so that you do not have a crisis kind of environment, and we do not have a rancorous society, so that we can avoid anarchy. Because to be quite honest with you, the action of the umpire is highly regrettable.
Sure.
But in the circumstance, if you must put the interest of the nation above all every other interest, that best explains the reason every aggrieved Nigerian should submit his or herself to the due process. Even as most of us do not have implicit confidence in the judiciary, but in the circumstance is the best option to avert any possible crisis in the society.
Okay, now you've said something, even though some of us do not really have confidence in the judiciary. Now looking at the judicial system, do you think Obi or Atiku heading to court, do you think they will be able to get back their right?
It's neither here nor there. But one thing is sure. The fact you are able to present before the electoral tribunal is what the tribunal is going to use to determine the case. Don't forget that even as we speak, we talk about irregularity, talk about voter suppression, talk about violence, talk about earnest complicity and all that. You need evidence to prove this, all this. And even if it is believed generally that all this happened, and you are not able to tender all this evidence before the tribunal or the court as the case may be, it is not going to give you victory. So that's why I hope and believe that the parties who are preparing for litigation would have gathered their evidences before they decide to embark on that journey. But I think they would have done a greater part of it, because I took note that it took some time before the Labour Party and PDP came to address the press and indicated interest that actually they are going for litigation. They may have studied the process. Where I listened to the presidential candidate of PDP, who said after due consultation with the parties, stakeholders, and their legal team, that they have decided to challenge the process. So I think they would have taken their time to gather some level of evidence. But again, let me quickly say that even the process of going through electoral tribunal, the time allowed by law for a litigant to prove his case is too short. So that may be another hurdle. So I hope in the next round of constitutional review by the next National Assembly, they will quickly look into that area, because it will not be good if somebody is perceived to have been robbed of his mandate. You go to the electoral tribunal, you don't have enough time to prove your case. I think all of that, we need to see it reviewed in the next round of National Assembly. And again, I think however I look at it, the judges that will be part of the electoral tribunal will be the one to determine whether the people who brought the case to the electoral tribunal have a case is able to prove their case or not. So I cannot stay here and sit on judgment on the electoral matter, in case I know that it's subsequently going to appear in the electoral tribunal.
Now, let me ask you, I'm aware you're very conversant with the fact that congratulatory messages have been pouring in or coming in lately to the winner of the presidential election, which is Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the president-elect. And these messages, of course, are coming from international communities and what have you. What does this portend for the process.
You rightly captured my mind where you said I'm not unaware of the congratulatory messages coming even from international arena. But you equally take note that almost each and every one of them have pointed out that INEC should take steps to address concerns raised by opposition parties.
So what are those concerns?
The concerns are expressly stated. They are not ambiguous. As you can see, people already losing confidence in the electoral process. People already accusing INEC. There are so many areas one could point to as to irregularity in the process. But the one that bothers people most is the one that involves INEC. Because INEC is supposed to be an independent umpire. So if INEC that is supposed to be an independent umpire is the one being accused to have participated or to have led the process of the manipulation, for me, it's a thing of concern. It's a thing of concern.
Now, since they are pointing fingers or raising concerns on some areas in the process, does that not give you a picture to understand that the process wasn't transparent enough?
Personally, I look to the fact that the process was not transparent enough.
So, what is expected? What is expected of the INEC, the electoral umpire?
What was expected is to follow the rule of law, to follow the details of the Electoral Act, to follow their own laid down guideline.
So
don't forget that before the election.
Because I'm going based on your words, meaning that if he hasn't followed all of that and those things were not strange to him, then it means that he has an intent.
I told you before now that even INEC's own way of interpreting section 60, subsection 5 of that Electoral Act. I'm talking about Professor Okoye, who is a lawyer.
Yeah.
He was quoted to have said that the new Electoral Act makes it compulsory for the presiding officer to transmit the election result in a manner that shall be prescribed by INEC. And in this circumstance, when they roll out their guideline, they said the election result should be transmitted electronically from the polling units. As we speak, I saw it on your screen that as at this moment, what they have in their INEC portal, INEC viewing portal, and INEC server is about 154,210 polling units. And you already have a winner, you already declared the winner, returning winner, and certificate of return have been issued. So the question is, if you were even supposed to upload the accreditation before you get to the stage of declaring a winner, and now a winner have emerged, the question is, do INEC currently have the total number of accreditation for that election? I doubt.
So that's a
so
great
INEC
concern.
itself is on trial. That is why personally I'm saying that even the position of INEC that we had, we saw the system suffered a network glitch. I don't think INEC is in a position to tell us that and we'll take it.
No.
Because INEC cannot be a judge in
its own
case.
Okay.
I think there should be an independent body to investigate and unravel what actually transpired.
I want to ask you this question. Let me play the devil's advocate here. Some persons are saying that in the coming amendments of the Electoral Act, that it is advised that they have not just one chairman who will chair the electoral process, but there should be like 5 bodies set up from different political parties set up to chair the electoral process, such that nobody will be seen as one person who will be easily, you know, how am I going to put it now, easily induced, so to speak, to play the part of that party. What do you think about that? What's your
To be
reaction?
quite honest with you, once you have the Electoral Act, Electoral Beast turned into law, it becomes the Electoral Act.
Yeah.
It is INEC that is the end user that has the power to use it. Then again, in this circumstance, the buck rests with the INEC chairman. That is not to say that he's the one in the field doing the job.
No, what I'm saying is, in the event of being the INEC chairman, he has the final say. He has this influence over his subordinates. So whatever he says stands, which means that it is possible for him to be induced by any political party to play into the gallery. So the question I'm asking is, looking at what people are saying, is it not ideal for us to have several people as boards, chairman boards, in this process, such that no one person can easily be induced or be connived with to be able to play the game of a political party, such that they don't become, at the end of the day, the winner of a process? I don't know if you understand where
we
I'm
already
coming
have
from.
that, because currently, as we speak, if
Yeah.
you look at the constitution of the composition of INEC as a body,
Yeah.
you have national commissioners
Okay.
who sit at the highest hierarchy of INEC to take decision. And even in the election management, the chairman only and now result already collated from the polling unit and sent Abuja.
You think he doesn't have influence over
I'm
the
coming.
boards?
Even if you say he have influence, the board rests with him. All the blame we are talking about rests on his table.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say in essence, because he has the power to check any process as the election is going on, or to even stop any process if he's understand and believe that the process is breaching Electoral Act.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the process of election management, it starts from the polling units. The man who is the collation officer at the ward level is only receiving results that have been collated, that have been declared from the polling unit. The man who is taking it from the ward level to the local government level, the man who is at the local government level is only collating results across the local government from respective wards in that local government. The same thing is applicable to the state level before it gets to the national. That is why we are particularly worried and concerned that what they needed to do from the polling unit was to upload that result from the polling unit, because once you take that result away from the people who cast the who voted, one thing is clear: you have taken away from the people who had the power to defend the ability to defend their vote. Because if you go to the ward level, you merely have just a party agent, perhaps competing with many political party gladiators, politicians, and all that. And it's very difficult for one person to stand in the face of such intimidation and all that. So for me, INEC caused us this problem. Because if INEC have followed the details of their own guideline, ensure that election results were uploaded direct from the polling units, we will not be where we are today.
Now let's not overflog this issue. Are you? It's like my.
No, you
you're
go
itching
ahead.
for a question.
Yeah.
All right. So let's not
for you.
overflog this because we don't have so much time. I want you to look at this. Abdul Salam-led Peace Committee said 44% statement from the campaign committees of different parties violates the peace agreement signed by parties. Now my question is, how does this affect the process?
One, the peace committee have no legal backing. They only relying on moral authority they could exercise upon those candidates. So even if anyone violate, I believe that they violated most of the tenets of the peace accord.
Yes.
Because you hear the political party candidates making some uncomplimentary statements during the electioneering campaign and all that, and that in itself have a way of hitting on the polity. But again, even if you say that, the committee itself have no legal backing. They will only rely on their moral authority, only on the moral authority they could exercise over this politician, because they are well respected.
So what's the
citizens
essence
this
of
country.
signing? What's the essence of signing an agreement with these parties when they do not have the legal backing to effect any punishment?
They have some level of moral authority.
No, I'm
You
not
cannot
talking
take that
about the
away.
moral. I'm
No,
talking
moral
about
authority
legal.
have a way of controlling human being. Look at the traditional rulers. The same moral authority they exercise over the people, and they are doing excellently well in almost area of the strata of Nigerian society. So if you have moral authority over someone, you can mold that person. You can advise that person, and that person take it, and that person can be wary of how you feel if he does the wrong thing. So moral authority is a good way of trying to curtail excesses of people. You can't take that away totally.
So what's stopping them now to have embarked on that moral action? Looking at the fact that many political parties and their candidates have been making some very harsh statements, which can even incite violence in the hearts and minds of Nigerians.
But again, I think INEC on its own may not be bold enough to wield the big stick. Because even as we speak, during the electioneering campaign, INEC has power to sanction any political party any candidate that is making some level of provocative and some statement that is capable of hitting on the polity. But we rarely, seldom, see INEC playing that part. Maybe because they see the political gladiators, the candidates, as people who they cannot caution.
People who are like demigods.
Of course.
Okay, looking back at the last Saturday election, how do you think the number of voters participation can be improved? Looking at what happened at the last election on Saturday.
Okay, if you just oppose what happened during the last election with what needs to be done to encourage Nigerians to participate, I think it is very clear. Before that election, Nigerians were not even interested in the Nigerian electoral process because they don't have confidence in the process. In the first place, what gave them the confidence to participate was the new Electoral Act and the technology that was introduced by INEC. And we have now seen a situation where Nigerians, INEC failed Nigerians in deploying that technology. And it's going to bring us back to the dark days where Nigerians were not willing to participate in the process. Now, asking about what needs to be done. One, it's good that the people who feel aggrieved are challenging the process. Because we may have a situation where the court may give a pronouncement that will give assertive position on how the election should be managed in terms of deploying those technology. And if that happens, it will boost the confidence of Nigerians. And again, I think if you look at the Nigerians should be encouraged that if you go to the next round of election, since we are already aware that INEC played gimmick in the first round of election, they should ensure that the presiding officers upload the result from the polling unit before it is taken to the ward level. But that they should do in a peaceful manner in order not to cause rancor.
All right, 87 million PVCs were collected and less than 25 million casted their vote, as against the number of Nigerians, which we know of as 200 million plus Nigerians. What's the reason, behind this, shortage of numbers coming out to cast their vote?
First of all, if you are looking at the number of Nigeria, that is the 200 million as in the
total number
of Nigerians,
as against the 25 million who
you
came out to
cannot use
vote.
that as basis, because not all Nigerians are eligible voters, because there are people who are under 18,
underage,
and all that. But having said that, I think the reason you see voter apathy vary from environment to environment and from country to country. In our climate here, we have a situation where, one, you have security threats. You can't take that away. That may have deterred some persons from participating. I think I saw a video where even corps members were brutalized in this last election. So if you are somebody who fears certain, you can even imagine even corps members that are not partisan politicians being brutalized. So that how it was sending signal to would-be voters to stay clear from the voting process.
Aside from voter apathy, what about the confidence of Nigerians towards electoral process? Looking at the just concluded presidential election, how it turned out, don't you think that could also be a factor, not a motivating factor this time, a factor that could really deter people from staying back?
Definitely, what transpired last Saturday is going to deter Nigerians. Is going to discourage Nigerians in participating in the process. But I think I have a word for them that they should not despair. They should keep hope. They should ensure they participate in the next round of election. And more so, as INEC is already being
looked upon.
No, as accusation is already on INEC, and the whole world is telling INEC to redeem her own image. So I hope INEC will use this opportunity to redeem its already battered image.
I think that's the reason that would give people that confidence to come back and have anything to do with the electoral process. It's not just about giving wishes out there. It's about INEC doing the needful. It's about the government sitting up to say, okay, where are those irregularities, you know, and things are played out. And I feel if they could do that, that could really give Nigerians that confidence or that trust to put back on the government or to put back on INEC and its electoral process and now make them come out to vote. I think that's what the government should be doing at this point in time than just saying all manner of things.
You see, the government of the day or the government in power, they seem to be fighting against the people. And the reason is not far-fetched. Because the people feel disappointed in them. The people feel the government is not getting it right. The people feel they need a new approach to governance. The people feel they need a new order. But again, I think to the government itself, they should realize that the best way to address what we are seeing currently in Nigeria is to engender good governance and address the concern of Nigerians. I can tell you that if you take a look at Lagos particularly, the reason you saw the voting pattern is because people were not comfortable with the pattern of governance in the state. You have a situation where the Okada riders, you see the way and manner the state government enforce ban of Okada. You see the brutal nature of the police and all that. I'm not saying they should not enforce it. So all this cumulates into making the people to form the opinion on how to vote and who to vote. And if you look at the high-handedness of LASMA in Lagos State, the way they extort money from people, that in itself have a way of sending wrong signal and making the people to turn against the government of the day. I think the government itself need to address all these things if they want to rekindle the hope or the confidence of the people in the present government, rather than using brute force to suppress the people.
That's a very good place to anchor this discussion, and we just hope, like you said, that the government will listen to the plight of Nigerians and really start addressing it one after the other so that Nigerians can really put back their trust in them or their hope on them and believe that every process will work as anticipated. We're not done yet. Thank you very much, Mr. Oluko Matthew. Did I get it right? Or Matthew Oluko? Yeah. A public affairs analyst who have been seated here giving us his own 2 cents on this matter. We'll be going on the short break now, and when we come back, we'll bring you more segments. Please stay with us.